Hey everybody, how's it going? So I've been thinking about a couple of things, or a few things with this channel, and I've come to a couple of conclusions. Firstly, I gotta step up my Legends of 40K series a little bit because I completely forgot to modernize, if you will, or update special characters from the Chaos Space Marine Codex and the Dark Angels Codex, both of which have a 6th edition codex now. So all the Legends of 40K that I did for them is null and void at this point because it's now different. So therefore I gotta redo them. And I'm going to. So that's what I'm going to do with the Legends of 40K series. I'm going to redo the special characters from the Chaos Space Marine Codex first, then the Dark Angels Codex, and I'm going to take down their obsolete ones when I put up the new ones. With that, I've come to the conclusion that, well, not the conclusion, but I know how to make slideshow videos, and I've come to the kind of realization that some of my video series would definitely be better suited, especially for you guys, or really for you guys, as a slideshow. It's a bit more work for me, not much, but it would definitely be better for you guys if I do a slideshow rather than have the camera pointed at something, and that's it. So I'm going to try it out with this video, this Legends of 40K video. I'm going as a slideshow, as you can tell. Let me know what you think of it. If you guys enjoy it, I can do more. Now, at Legends of 40K, I'm not going to have a plethora of pictures, really, because it's on one special character. I'm going to get as many as I can that doesn't really dip too deeply into people's personal artwork and whatnot, because I don't want people to take offense that I used it or whatever it is. So, with that being said, let's talk about Abaddon the Despoiler. And the way Legends of 40K works is I go into depth about the character's stat line, point cost, and all that. Special rules and war gear that's specific to them I go in depth on. Then I go over the model, if it has one, and then I go over my thoughts on playing it. So let's go right into Abaddon. He is 265 points. Weapon skill of 7, ballistic skill of 5, strength of 4, toughness of 5, 4 wounds, initiative of 6, 4 attacks, leadership 10 with a 2 plus save. He's infantry and he's unique. He has Terminator armor and the Chaos artifacts Draconian and Talon of Horus. He has the Warlord trait Black Crusader. He has the special rules: Champion of Chaos, Eternal Warrior, Fearless, Independent Character, Mark of Chaos Ascendant, and Veterans of the Long War. In addition to that, he's first amongst Chosen. So in a primary detachment that includes Abaddon, your primary force, not an allied force, units of Chosen are troop choices instead of elite choices. Kinda nice. So, let's talk about his specific special rules and war gear. Well, the only special rule specific to him is Mark of Chaos Ascendant. Basically means if he's in your primary detachment, he must be your warlord. And he has all 4 Marks of Chaos, which is nice. Now, he has Chaos artifacts of Draconian, which is a sword. So in close combat he gets +1 strength, AP of 2, and the sword is, or the weapon is melee, demon weapon, and a specialist weapon. Now, he also has the Talon of Horus, which gives him strength ×2, so it doubles his strength, AP of 3, melee, shred, specialist weapon. It also has a combi bolter for ranged combat, and in addition, Blood Angels have the Hatred Abaddon special rule because of this artifact that he has, which is a nice little touch. So, that's his entry. And let's talk about his model. He does have a model, and I'm always a fan of special characters having their own models. I don't want people to have to think of, well, how am I going to make something look like unique and special by kit bashing or whatnot. It can be done, but it's always better when they have their own. Now, Abaddon's model, as a model as a whole, I should say, it's not bad. In terms of, it's easily identifiable as Abaddon. You're not going to get him confused with the rest of the force. Even if he's in amongst 2 full squads of Terminators, if you're standing amongst them, you'll still be able to pick him out. But he hasn't aged particularly well. You can definitely tell this was a sculpt that was done a bit ago. The Terminator armor just feels more like an older sculpt than what we have now for Terminator armor. It looks pretty much the same, but it's got, to me, there's some subtle differences that, and there are a decent amount of them, that just make the armor feel older in terms of not sculpted to the same degree that Chaos Terminator armor is sculpted now by the sculptors. His trophy rack kind of just feels squat to me. The whole model feels kind of squat to me. he just doesn't feel that tall in comparison to not even regular Chaos Terminators, and especially the Chaos Lord wearing Terminator armor, that kit. His sword, while it is pretty large, just feels kind of short to me due to the style of the sword. And the Talon of Horus definitely needs an update in my mind. His top knot's fine as part of his shtick, but overall, the pose of the model is fine. If they just resculpted a Talon of Horus, really, if they just did that, it would be 10 times better in my book. But an overall resculpt, I think, is in order just to kind of freshen it up, give a fresh new perspective on him, maybe even give him a whole new stance and everything. I think that would be definitely cool for Abaddon, but he's a fine cast model, so it probably won't happen. I've seen him in person. He doesn't look terrible. I just feel he needs freshening up, and he's definitely easily identifiable by his war gear and his top knot on the battlefield. So that being said, let's talk about playing Abaddon and his entry in a bit more detail. First off, point cost. He has a heavy point cost. He costs more than a Land Raider. But he's not over point costed for what you get, and I don't feel he's under point costed. I feel he's somewhere in that sweet zone of being appropriately point costed. He's not too much where it's kind of like, well, not worth it outside of Apocalypse, and he's not too little where it's kind of like, are you serious? This is a steal. Now, due to his nature, and aside from making chosen troop choices, which is a nice update, he doesn't do anything for your army. He's the mirror of Marneus Calgar, that special character. Because Marneus Calgar does stuff for your forces due to his special rules, and when he's in Terminator armor, he has a Homer built in. But all in all, they're kind of mirrors of each other. Marneus sacrifices some raw power to bolster your army as a whole, and Abaddon really sacrifices bolstering your army for more raw power. At least that's the way I view it. Now, with that being said, Abaddon is one of the few characters that I feel you really should take with the intention of building a list around him. He's not a special character that you can go, well, you know what, I have an idea for a list kind of, but I really think that Pedro Cantor is cool, so I'm going to include him. Or I really think Eldrad is cool, so I'm going to put him in there. This is a special character that you really are building a list from the ground up with him in mind. Partly because he is points heavy, and because on top of that, you're not leaving him by himself. Despite what you might see some people do that are being kind of cocky about it, he should always be with the squad for a couple of reasons. Firstly, for the extra woundage, especially for the shooting phase, because shooting is the ultimate equalizer. He can be brought down by lasgun. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a longer time. It's going to take a lot of lasgun shots, but it can happen. And the last thing you want is that to happen to you, because it's going to happen at the worst time, and you don't want that. So that's just to show you that lasguns can take it down, bolters can take them down. It's just going to be take a while. It's going to take a longer time than would be standard due to his stat line and his war gear. But it can happen, and that means higher strength weaponry has an even easier time, and plasma and stuff like that can really start hurting him more so because it ignores his armor. So the other reason being is you want to bolster his already considerable power in close combat with the squad that's going to be with him to do it. And the way I would do this is, regardless of how you're going to build the rest of your force, this is what you build into it. Abaddon, of course, give him, I prefer Terminators, but you can also give him 8 Chaos Chosen, or 4 Terminators, either way. With the 8 Chaos Chosen, you have more bodies in the way, and so in theory, it might make it harder to get to Abaddon than just the 4 Terminators. But in either case, you take a Land Raider as well. Now, the Terminators have the benefit of taking it as a dedicated transport, so it doesn't take up another slot. But in either scenario, you have a Land Raider that's squad, kitted out in an assault role, but not spending too many points in that particular squad, but just a little bit here and there to kind of bolster it a little bit, and then Abaddon on top of that. Now you take that, you make that your spear tip, and bolster it with support from the rest of your army, regardless if you want to make an aggressive close-in hitting army, or one that's has a bit more long-range firepower to it, Whatever it is, however you do that is up to you. But you bolster Abaddon and you make him kind of the central part of what you're built around and what your strategy is going to be, which is basically support this Land Raider. Now, putting him on Land Raider, I think, is better than having him deep strike in, because if he deep strikes in and you want to squad with him, then you need Terminators to be with him, and they can't do anything when they get there aside from basically shoot. They're kind of high and dry, and that's no good. So I prefer the transport. You also don't have to worry about rolling the reserves to get him, because he'll be on the battlefield unless he has to start in reserve either way. But that's just part of the mission. Now, the way you should think about this is not awesome, I can't wait to see what kind of damage Abaddon causes, but you should think about this going great. This squad is going to be toast in a few turns. If you have that mindset of expecting to bite it because your opponent's going to focus so heavily on him, then you're not going to be disappointed when he does bite it quicker than you would want him to. And on the second time, secondly I should say, not the second time, but secondly with that, you now have in your mind contingency plans on how your army is going to deal with the fact of losing this amount of points and losing this hard-hitting power. But it works in your favor either way, believe it or not, because if he gets the grips at your foe, great. He's going to cause a lot of damage. You're going to be smart about it, put him where you can do the most damage with him and his squad. If he doesn't make it and he dies or he gets bogged down or is just not able to get the grips with the foe, it works in your favor too, because chances are your opponent is paying much more attention to that particular ball of hurt than the rest of your army. So if your army is taking a bit of a beating but Abaddon's able to get in there and do his thing in close combat, great for you, because he's where he needs to be and the rest of your army can still support it even though they've been maybe given a bloody nose or whatever it is. And if he gets really bogged down, shot up and basically nearly destroyed or just wiped off the battlefield, chances are in order to do that they invested a lot more of their army to do that, leaving your army relatively unmolested in comparison. Either way, it works to your advantage. You just got to be able to seize upon that advantage when it comes to you. Now, of course, your opponent may know this and may be doing their best to kind of, not have that happen, but that's just the nature of wargaming. Obviously, I'm just speaking on your behalf as the Abaddon player, let's say. So that's what I would do, personally. And I think it works rather well because you're already investing the points into him, and then you're investing basically what I call auxiliary points into him in terms of a transport basically for him and a squad to basically be extra wounds for him and get in the way so he can get to where he's got to go. And so that doesn't technically raise his point costs up. It does in a sense contribute to the thinking about his own point cost, because this is for him. And basically this is why I would build an army around him. This is one of the few special characters where I think it's beneficial to build your army and your play style with this army in terms of the strategy around him. And of course you're doing this because it fits your play style. If he doesn't fit your play style, don't take him. And that's one thing I want to touch upon real quick is a special character could be cool. And Abaddon, yes, is cool. He's a beat stick. But if it doesn't fit into your playstyle, the way you do things, you don't need to take him. You don't have to take him just because he's deemed cool or strong. But because if it doesn't mesh with what you do personally, how you play and your strategies personally, it's not going to be beneficial for you. So yeah, anyways, that's basically it for Abaddon in Legends of 40K. Overall, a nice beat stick type of special character. He doesn't do much for your army really in terms of bolstering it. He does have the nice effect of making chosen troop choices, but he really is kind of that beat stick special character, one that if you build a list to support him and his squad, he'll help you carry the day, either physically himself by ripping through the opponent's force, or by absorbing a lot more firepower than would normally be given to a squad because he's such a high priority target, which can work in your favor as well if you factor that into your strategies. Anyways, that's it. So let me know if you like this slideshow style of format. If you did, I'll do my other Legends of 40K this way as well. And that's basically it. So hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, take it easy.